grab a six or a cold ones, and whatever else trips your trigger, we're about to embark on a Dynasty road trip. That's right, we'll tool around the back roads of fantasy football land, taking in the sights of 10 and 12-man Dynasty leagues. But leave your keys at home, because here's your drivers, Ron and Jonah.
Been a while since we've hopped in the car and taken a ride now that all the dust is settled.
Yeah, there's been, I think you know full well that some of our dynasties have made the move to Sleeper.
Yeah.
That's been kind of a fun transition, which I'm going to have to lean on you about because we put it to a vote and my 12-man will be moving to Sleeper next year. So that was one thing. And then that, of course, spawned the vote for a practice squad, which we had some pretty good disagreements on in the chat.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I was. It's been an eventful off season.
People get pretty set in what will and won't work, but ultimately, the way I look at it, you're all playing by the same rules.
Right.
So whatever you decide to do, it's got to work. It's going to be the same thing that you do, someone else has to do, unless it's something, like the only time I feel like you've got a right to really truly complain in any league is if a trade you worked on got vetoed. That's always a bummer. And then two is like, if you inherit a team or someone's given a team, and that's always too, like, how do you make that fair?
And be careful that you don't get yourself slapped.
Right.
Follow those rules.
You got to follow those rules.
Let's take the scenic route here.
Yeah.
And let's touch on this. The whole debacle with Tommy Pham and Jack Peterson this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I've kind of heard the whole ordeal, and I guess I don't understand that if whatever format or site or app you're using allows you to put a player on an IR type slot, then it's allowed.
That's true.
True. Unless your league had some like preseason gentleman's agreement that doesn't fly, which doesn't appear to be the case. Anything that thing lets you do is fair game.
Yep. Well, I'll say that in that scenario, it's ultimately it's really ultimately the commissioner's responsibility to handle that issue in the first place.
Right, but I think that's what you do when you set the rules in the beginning. It doesn't need to be revisited. It's allowed.
Like you say,
what are you talking about?
Like all of the new things like the Sleeper and the leagues that are coming out there, they're all built to finally have those individual rules that teams have. And like I can tell you, like Sleeper, for instance, has way more options on what defines an IR player than what Yahoo has. Because that's clearly an issue that's come up in leagues. Like
Yahoo, you've got nearly no say on any of that. Yep. I think they might have made a COVID allowance in the last few seasons where you could select whether or not you wanted to, but that's it. Otherwise, whatever Yahoo lets you do is what you can do.
Well, and I can say too, like, so for instance, on Yahoo, when we played before we switched over to Sleeper, by the way, I must say we are not endorsed by Sleeper in any way. Although if Sleeper would like to endorse us, we'd be open to it.
I did get in a Twitter fight with a guy about Sleeper because I actually accused him of being paid by them because he came at me so aggressively. But now I guess I understand. It's like, okay, I guess I sound like I work for him too.
Yeah. Well, I will say this example of something that if your league isn't set up for it, I had to do. So we had the practice squad in the Nasty, and you had to keep track of about 30 players that were listed as free agents available, but we had them on a separate list that said these guys are not actually available.
Right. They were on the wire. You could pick them up. You just were not supposed to. There's a manual list that you had to pay attention to. And believe me, even as commish, I fucked that up myself.
Right. And so what I would have to do as the commish was I would have to make sure before kickoff or right before the game started that no one had picked up one of these protected players and played them in that week's matchup. It only happened about 3 times a year. It wasn't a big deal, and you can always go back and roll back and switch out rosters. But it does show, like, the league knew that it would get fixed. But, you know, the first time it happens, of course,
you still panic when it's your guy.
Yeah.
You're like,
oh no, he's not supposed to. He's my guy.
Eno Benjamin is my draft pick.
He beat me with a guy that's not even his. And like, okay, you can go back and fix all those things. Yeah. But, you know, a little case of road rage usually happens here. Usually breaks out when someone thinks that someone's cheating or doing something intentional or a rule's been broken. And in this case, it had real life consequences for someone.
And when the shit fit happens, that's what we here at Dynasty Roadtrip refer to as road rage incident. Yeah. And we had that. And And I'm glad you pointed out that, you know, some leagues do offer different options. But like I said, I've been a commissioner of enough leagues to know that you set those rules up front.
Yep.
And generally the guy who gets mad about it paid no attention.
Yep.
Did not read the rules, does not know that it's all laid out in black and white. Generally, the guy who shits his pants and has a road rage incident just didn't even pay enough attention to know what the rules were.
Yep. No.
7 times out of 10.
Yep. Mostly. And it's always fixable. It's always fixable, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I guess at that point, if you have a shit fit and the whole league says, hey, yeah, we agree, let's address this, then, you know, that's something that can be hashed out at the time, I suppose. But as none of these hypotheticals that we've posed on the situation appear to be the case.
No.
It's literally a guy got pissy about it. It's bullshit. I'll say it right here.
I hope at some point in my life, at whatever job I'm working, I have to send someone home for the day or multiple days because they hit someone over a fantasy football debate. That's the kind of place I want to work at.
I don't. It feels too real.
That's it.
I'd literally probably have only been saved from this scenario by the fact that most of the leagues I play in aren't guys in the same town.
Yeah. Agreed. It's probably good. I used to work with a bunch of guys I could talk fantasy football with, and I'll be honest, I didn't. Those were unproductive days.
Yeah.
You got one for the road before we hand off? Any hot takes you want to throw out there before we hop into this post-draft landscape of these teams?
I think I do.
Don't pay your tab off just yet, but get your keys ready. And here, take this beer, but don't open it yet. I said don't open it, because it's one for the road.
It's a guy we've talked about before on the podcast. Somebody who I definitely have been kicking the tires on. Mm-hmm. And in my 12-man league, I lay it out quick, 12-man, 3 wide receivers, and a full flex. I am very shallow at wide receiver. I didn't really have a trustworthy 4th. So I got on the wire and kicked the tires on Crowder.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not joking at all. I was going to do one for the road, and I was actually going to say Crowder as well, which is crazy because the reason why I was holding back from saying this because I didn't actually want to bring him up to you.
No, I picked him up in my 12-man.
Yeah.
And I instantly, there's certain little free agent moves that you can make where you instantly feel better about your team. And that was one because I was like, do I want to be relying on starting him? Yep. No. But as wide receiver 4, that is tremendous value. Mm-hmm. He's a solid upgrade on Beasley in every conceivable metric.
Yes.
I believe the stats also bear that out in some less favorable situations than Beasley was given in Buffalo. Arrows up all around on this guy. And I said, cheap.
100% agree. We use the term mile marker for ages for different players. Crowder, surprisingly younger than what most people think.
Yes, much younger than Beasley, which I actually in my head had that opposite. I thought we were talking like 32 for Crowder.
Yeah, that is Beasley's age. I believe Crowder's 28. Am I correct there?
That sounds right. 28.
Yep, 28 years old.
Yeah, great slot guy. Arrows up.
Yeah. Well, you took my hot take for the road.
God, that's great because that was right off the top of my head. I had nothing in the chamber.
I'll do a hot take for you. I'll go the opposite way.
One for the road.
I suppose we're going to talk about this guy as we go, but you and me actually, I believe it was a few years ago that I kind of turned you on to this guy, and I think we both really liked him. Again, it feels like we bring him up every year, and every year it's like maybe this is the year, but Tony Pollard.
Yes.
I mean, he's just a guy that I want riding shotgun on my team. Right? Yeah. I just want him on my roster. I just want him there. I still think going into this season, if a starting running back goes down, Tony Pollard becomes a top 15 running back. If he gets 20 touches a game, he is a league winner for you. So I'm going to go into every season. He's definitely a guy that I love. But again, Tony Pollard, probably Tony can buy cheap because there's probably guys like you and I out there who have really liked Tony Pollard for 3 years in a row. And we're like, come on.
They've come to the end of the road, but they can't let go.
Man, many people who are listening to this that don't live in the Midwest will not know what corn detasseling is. But that
lost, motherfuckers.
Yeah, not at all. But just singing that song, I can't not tell this story. Boys to Men, End of the Road. It's almost like a working in the field song, right? That you have to sing this stuff. And we rewrote that song back in the day for detasseling. And it was
as a corn detasseling spiritual.
It was. And we'll pull to the end of the road, so our foreman won't know. Oh man, it's good stuff. Man, that brought me back.
I'm with that.
Yeah. First time I ever smoked a cigarette. First time I ever tried chewing tobacco.
Oh yeah.
First time. It's every 14,
like a goddamn
years old.
Coming of age movie.
God, that would be.
You know, one of the best detasseling. This is it's absolutely chef's kiss. Because you're a bunch of kids that they cram into like the back of some sort of truck.
Highly illegal. Fizz.
Yeah, it is haul you to the field. I mean, because when you don't have migrant workers, you turn to minor children. You put them out in the field to do the manual labor. But everybody's got their little coolers and whatnot. And there's this one kid that I knew had this really kick-ass plastic cooler with a flip-top lid. And at the top, you would screw in like an ice pack into the top of it, which would keep shit cool. So I was like, oh, that's cool. So he unscrews this ice pack and twists the cap off and proceeds to start drinking from inside the fucking thing and passing it around. So I was like, you motherfuckers loaded the ice thing with vodka, didn't you? Like, that is brilliant. Like,
that's funny.
Yeah, that's funny. And that had never occurred to me. I mean, like that was tip of the hat, my friend.
We went the opposite route. Jason Furstenberg, I apologize.
Oh God.
But you can cram a lot of powder X-Lax into a water jug. And the middle of a cornfield is not the best place for that to kick in.
Yeah, you try it. Try as your sphincter may. It cannot hold back a watery tide of gravy sludge poo on a hot summer day in the middle of a cornfield.
Whilst walking. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Squeeze them cheeks together. It ain't gonna help.
There's a few people who hear this will have no idea what that we're talking about. And I don't think we need to explain anymore. You can look up corn detasseling. It's
Google. It's a thing.
It's like
Midwest child labor.
Yeah, it's a Midwest cotton field. I hate to say it, but it definitely is a terrible.
Yeah,
I probably the closest
where some guy with 3 teeth and a goiter can come in and try to destroy your self-worth because you don't know about corn as much as he does.
Yeah. Well, we had.
What are you, stupid? Clearly, I mean, if you're able to levy that accusation, there must be something to it,
right? Oh, good Lord, that's bringing back some memories,
isn't it? Though,
yeah. You want to take the scenic route today? You want to take some back roads? How do you want to do this? We want to start out in the NFC. You want to start in the AFC? How are you feeling today?
Man, left turn, right turn. I don't care.
Yeah.
Driver's choice.
All right.
I'm going to have to stop into that cornfield that we were just talking about and take a leak before we hop into this Dynasty road trip where we're basically going to check in post-draft.
Yeah.
And look at up arrows and down arrows. I believe we've done a little of this, but that landscape changes with time, even with nothing happening. Those values change.
It's true. Well, I think I'll do the same. I think I'll go drain the lizard and fill up the flask here, and we'll get ready to hop on the road.
Damn.
It's time to settle up at the bar and the bathroom. Top off that tank and grab one for the road, because we're about to take you around the league on a Dynasty road trip.
I feel like you're suffering from a little bit of road rage right now.
I am. This is a full scale road rage.
It really is. Well, let's see if what you need to just kind of pull yourself out of this is just a nice drive.
Yeah,
Just hop on some back roads. Let's head south.
Let's go south. Yeah.
There's nothing that's going to make you feel better about yourself than talking about the Houston Texans. So what did the Houston Texans add? They added rookie-wise. They added Dameon Pierce, running back, which was a lot of people had him as their sleeper. I would say Dameon Pierce was the sleeper rookie running back for many, many people. I saw him go really high in both of the dynasty drafts that I did, just because of the room that the running backs are with the Texans.
That wasn't path to touches.
Yeah,
that's the key early.
And he's fighting with Marlon Mack. I don't know if I'm going to read you all of the running backs in.
Oh my God.
In Houston. And it'll kind of hurt your brain because you'll be like, really?
So you should take your hands off the wheel and see if you can list all of the running backs before we go into a fucking ditch.
Yeah, you can. We know of Rex Burkhead, but then they also picked up Royce Freeman. They have Marlon Mack. They picked up Dare Ugambalure.
Obviously.
And they picked up a fullback, Andy Janovich, and then they drafted Dameon Pierce. So really, when people look at that room, it's Marlon Mack versus Dameon Pierce.
Yeah, there's touches to be had for both, honestly.
I'll say this, a little bit of a pothole player here, but Marlon Mack, not a terrible guy if you can get him on the cheap or if he's still out there. Not a terrible guy to put on your roster. He's well worth the risk. He had a really good year, and he's only 26 years old with not a lot of wear on the old tread there. So
he might even be one of those repeat passengers that you've taken with you down the road a couple of times.
Yep.
One of those familiar guys. He's almost got an ass groove worn in your back seat. Just
right. Like, hey, Marlon, when are you going to get your own car? Yeah, it's fine. I'm good. Quarterback stays Davis Mills, not the wide receiver. They added John Mechie from Alabama. He's got some potential, but it's Davis Mills. They still have Brandon Cooks. They still have Nico Collins, Chris Conley, Philip Dorsett. It's just they signed Deshaun Hamilton. It's just like a list of. Yeah,
you can see a scenario where you get targets, but it's not a clear-cut deal.
So for me, no one's valuing up, no one's valuing down with the draft, and Dameon Pierce is really the only rookie that I'm targeting. But I feel like right now the market says you overpay for Dameon Pierce if you haven't drafted already.
Fair. Who else we got down south?
Well, we got the Miami Dolphins. Heard this year the owner is going to pay the coach to win games with a new tactic.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, it's not bad. The Dolphins in the draft didn't really add anything that changes it for them. They did most of their.
They didn't really need to. It was more of an interior line deal.
Yeah, I still don't. The Tyreek Hill move, they didn't. Still don't know how I feel about it. I really don't. I own Tyreek Hill in the league, and I just don't know if I like. He's going to drop off a little bit, but he's going to drop off from like a top 10 wide receiver to a top 30 wide receiver, or from a top 10 wide receiver to a top 15 wide receiver.
Right. Which I had a guy who's got him in a 12-man, and he also has Waddle. So he's like, I want to move him, but where do you value him? Like, you're really in a crapshoot right now. If you and basically unless you wait for snaps to see what happens. Yeah.
I'm going to say this is I'm going to refer to Tyreek Hill as someone I have in my work zone. Okay. He's still in construction. I'm still not really sure what's going to happen down there, but I'll tell you one thing. I would not be moving Tyreek Hill right now. If I were to decide I'm going to move Tyreek Hill, I'm going to wait till he has 100 yards and 2 touchdowns during the year, and then I'm going to move him that week.
Right. Everything's ambiguous right now. Not really the time to sell.
Yep. The Patriots, wait, I did that backwards. New England did not transfer down to the South. My bad. I just botched this all up. I went from the,
you went to the East.
I took a detour. Yeah, I did. I just went out. Well, fine. We're going to go back down to the South. That was fun of me.
Yeah, fuck. No, we ain't supposed to be over here. Turn it around.
Oh, shit. Well,
I pull a U-turn.
Let me tell you what I've been sipping on in the flask. I'm having a Low Gap bourbon, which is a small distillery in California that I get shipped to me.
I was going to say, I don't think we ever touched on Low Gap. What exactly the fuck?
Distillery called Low Gap. Most of their whiskey is only about 3 to 4 years old because they're a newer distillery. So I'm drinking Low Gap bourbon, which kind of usually has now I'm going to sound hoity-toity, but this is the only whiskey I've ever drank where I really do tell you I can smell and taste a little bit of coconutiness to it, which is weird because I don't know.
Highfalutin fuckwad.
I know. It makes me, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you though. That I've said before, depending on the temperature, the weather, that Eagle Rare, I get green apple in it sometimes, and it's only certain times, but it's delightful.
It is. We're gonna go to Indianapolis. Speaking of the South, that's what maybe.
Oh yeah, that's what constitutes South these days.
Yep.
Water down that term.
They added 2 players, and I know you liked one and I liked one. So maybe they added Alec Pierce at wide receiver, who I think, honestly, unless something crazy happens, he kind of becomes the number 2 wide receiver right away.
There's a path to touches there.
Yeah. He's really not competing with anyone. They have not re-signed T.Y. Hilton. Even if they did, I don't think that matters.
Not really.
Yeah, that it's just a team that has wide open targets, and I know you went after Jelani Woods, their rookie tight end.
I believe in 75% of my dynasties.
Yeah, and we talked about him on our last episode going into the draft that we would take a tight end that went to the Colts, and we'd take a wide receiver.
Yeah, as Matt Ryan loves him some tight end.
Yeah,
he actually went above McBride in my 12-man.
Wow.
But that's path to touches. And like we said, I mean, it might be short-sighted, but hey, you're getting targets right now. Or McBride, you're waiting. You got to wait a couple of years to even know if you've got a bust. Yep.
No, I agree.
At least you'll know if he's shitty right away.
Right. And honestly, as much as we play, this is a Dynasty podcast, these Dynasty rosters turn over a lot. So you might as well get your rookies to figure out what you got early on. And
if you can expedite that process, it's highly recommended that you do so.
Yep. The Jaguars, we really don't need to talk about the Jaguars. They did nothing in the draft that changed.
Let's not.
Pre-draft. Yeah, that's fine.
I don't want to do that. Duval!
Oh, nice. I heard in an episode you've been working on that.
I did. Yeah, I think I got it.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good.
I feel better. No, I was doing it wrong.
No, that's fine. You wow, next time I'm gonna wait for you to start talking NASCAR with me. That's exciting.
I've taken up meth in my spare time. So.
Fantastic. This is why you've been able to do so many podcasts. Like
I'm not itching my arms. You're itching your arms.
I'm prolific. Okay, why don't you get on at 3?
I'm a visionary.
I work. No, 3 a.m. Oh. Well, let's go. Speaking of meth, let's go to Tennessee.
Harsh but fair.
They really added one player, and it's a big player, and it's Treylon Burks. And I'm going to tell you, there's something happening with Treylon Burks right now that's I kind of love what's happening with Treylon Burks right now. I don't know how much you've been following the offseason, but Treylon Burks has had a lot of reports that he's out of shape at training camp. He didn't make it through his first practice. You know, he didn't make it. He got tired in his first week. He might have some conditioning issues. You know, is he a bust? There's all this stuff out there. I just want to remind everyone before you take a complete U-turn on Treylon Burks because he's had a week and 3 days of practice that he didn't look like the best wide receiver in NFL history. This is exactly what the take on Jamar Chase was at this time last year. This is exactly what people were talking about, how Jamar Chase was dropping all the balls in practice and he looked bad. He looked bad in the preseason and he ended up being an amazing player. So don't pay attention to this stuff. Don't stick with what you had on your board when you drafted him. He's not going to be a bust. The other guy they added was a running back in Hassan Haskins, which normally a running back going this late in the draft, I believe he was confirm this. He was a 4th round pick by Tennessee. Normally you'd be like, not a big deal, except if you look at their running back situation, he's clearly Derrick Henry's backup.
Yes, he just jumped all the way up that depth chart.
Yeah, so
2 touches.
There really is, looking at this list, it's pretty obvious the only guy out here who they would put in if Henry got hurt is Hassan Haskins would get some play. So you might, another guy you might want to ride shotgun with Derrick Henry. And I will tell you, I'm a Derrick Henry owner in a league, and I picked up Hassan Haskins for that reason.
Good move. I did not get that shotgun rider. And I have a feeling that might come back to haunt me because I've decided to Thelma and Louise with him off the cliff.
Yeah, why not?
Value be damned. Nope, I'm riding this into the sunset, motherfuckers.
He's a
beautiful Derrick Henry to the end, God damn it, holding hands.
Yeah. No, I like it. All right, let's go opposite. Let's head way up north.
Okay.
The Ravens, I don't believe they did anything in the draft.
They added any bells.
No, they added a running back late. They also added Mike Davis in the offseason, talking about kicking the tires.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. Mike Davis is a dead end for me.
Yeah.
Like how many times do you just have to not be good? And now you're a 29-year-old running back. Like, yeah, maybe you're like, oh, maybe J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards.
Well, he was good for healthy. 8 weeks that 1 year.
Yeah. I can be wrong on Mike Davis. I'm comfortable with it. Like I said, we're gonna take Mike Davis out. Say, Mike, we're gonna go for a picnic. We got this nice overview.
Just walk out over into that cornfield. Just keep walking. You'll see it.
We're just gonna head down this dead end road.
The sunset.
No, it's nice. Get out.
Just keep going.
No, you're fine. We'll pick you up at the other end of the road.
You're not far enough.
Yep. So
All right, step on it. Get the fuck out of here.
leave Mike Davis.
Go.
Just leave Mike Davis. You can be really, if you're starting this, Mike Davis, the only time he's going to value is if Dobbins and Edwards are seriously needing to still be fully healthy and they aren't going to run them early on. Are you really excited about starting your fantasy football season with Mike Davis as your week 1 running back? No,
that's a desperation. That's a desperation pickup.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. So, Ravens, nothing new there.
It's like picking up that guy, hoping he's going to give you gas money if you do. And it's like, Mike Davis is never going to give you any fucking gas money, man.
He's not.
If he does, it's going to be a sack of fucking pennies, and they're going to have like McDonald's condiments stuck to them. You don't want them. Just don't.
Let's just move on to the Cincinnati Bengals. Do you mind if
that tight end?
Do you mind if I go on a little gravel back road conversation about the Cincinnati Bengals?
Yeah, let's take let's take a detour and take the scenic route.
Yeah, I want to just have a random thought of the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, a little story I want to tell.
Yeah, just turn off on this road over here.
Yeah,
Cincinnati Bengals tangent.
So, my daughter's a Cincinnati Bengals fan, right? And so we had a Super Bowl party here at our house, and a couple people over, and decided we'd make traditional Cincinnati food. Okay. Well,
like chili?
Yeah, that's about all we could find, right?
Yeah, I think that's it.
So there's something called Cincinnati chili, right? It's goddamn disgusting.
That's what I've heard.
It's okay. What's the best way I can describe it? Take the taste of Christmas and make it chili. Like cloves and spices and all that stuff. Like an apple, like a spiced apple cider, but then
like someone took a wax green tree from Christmas and melted it into there.
Yeah, it's like chili, but you take the tomatoes out and you put in the taste of Christmas instead.
Oh, sounds.
It's got like nutmeg and cloves and
father.
And they're like, no, it's good because you serve it on a whole bunch of spaghetti. So
right,
and then you put a bunch of cheese on top of it. But I'll tell you what, it looks, when you cook it, it's got so much oil in it because instead of tomato based, it's like hamburger grease.
And it separates.
And it looks like this pot of heart attack.
Oh God, you made my stomach fucking turn with the description.
Now take a plate of noodles, okay, spaghetti noodles.
Okay.
And now slap on just nutmeg hamburger with no sauce. That is kind of Cincinnati chili in a nutshell.
Oh, I wish I had a camera because that's the face I'm making.
It's not good. So anyways,
disgusting.
I didn't think you could mess up chili. Like sometimes you make it too hot, like it's too spicy.
Well, that ain't even chili. That's frankly, I'm about to have a case of road rage.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Would you go? Dynasty Road Trip's about to get all revved up with a case of road rage.
That is taking liberties with the word chili. To such a degree. Like what about your concoction makes it chili?
Right.
Like if it does it have the beans?
Right.
No beans. No tomato sauce.
No, you can do beans.
You can get it with beans.
Yep.
Okay. And you said no real tomato sauce.
It seems to lack the tomatoes. Now my wife and I did look up a traditional. So, listen to the show.
Technically something that you need to have to qualify as chili. That's just like the Americanized version.
Not in Cincinnati, I guess. But again, like to me, it could also be called Cincinnati spaghetti because
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't think like what you described to me. The problem is you came at it from an angle of telling me it's chili, and then you proceeded to describe something that is quite frankly not chili. So I was just okay. That puzzled me.
The spice combination doesn't belong with any protein.
No, that sounded clear.
Yeah,
but like I said, if you would have said it's Cincinnati spaghetti, I would have went okay. Yeah, no, I get. But it's an exotic spice pairing, but I don't like it. But I see it.
Even then, now I'm gonna describe it as if we rename it Cincinnati spaghetti, I'm gonna say take spaghetti and put on cinnamon and clove and nutmeg meat sauce.
Right.
Still doesn't work. In fact,
no,
it's not right. So anyways, Cincinnati as a team, they did nothing during the draft. But I'm still perplexed by that team. Does Cincinnati not feel like a team that should get better because all the pieces are still there, but somehow they're going to fuck it up?
Yeah, because really, what were they talking? It was supposed to be another case of building interior line, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. It was, you've got your offensive weapons. The defense played, better than expected.
Yep.
So, it was like get Burrow some protection, and
they did.
Voila. So, yeah,
they did.
I mean, it's not sexy, but that's what you got to do to build a franchise.
So no change there. With the Browns, they did sign I should have really made this guy my one for the road. Honestly, here's a guy that I'm pretty high on. I let him pass me by in one of our leagues, and I grabbed him in the other. I really like David Bell, wide receiver for Cleveland, rookie they drafted. David Bell was looked at as a top 10 rookie wide receiver, and then he had a horrible combine and dropped down. But he's like walks into being the number 2 with Deshaun Watson as a quarterback. So you got Amari Cooper on one side and David Bell on the other side. He's got to beat out Donovan Peoples-Jones and Anthony Schwartz to be the number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah, I ain't taking no hyphenated players.
No.
If your name ain't Maurice Jones-Drew, you can tell that hyphenated shit walking.
Yep. So David Bell's a guy who I think is great, and I don't think anyone else's value really changed. Just David Bell's went up, and David Njoku signed a huge contract, but I don't think it changes his value one bit.
No.
The Steelers. I want your take on this. I'm going to have you take it, and then I'm going to tell you a player I'm concerned about post-draft.
I like everything they did. We knew there'd be a wide receiver in there. He seems to fit the bill with exactly the type of build and gameplay that Pittsburgh covets in a wide. Of course, we're also in a position with Deontay Johnson and nearing a second contract, which traditionally isn't a thing they really offer receivers. Brown was a rare exception with that. Everything's in flux. We've got a young core. I like the Pickett selection. I think he can sling the ball. Deontay Johnson, again, is a guy I'm not sure how that's going to go. But yeah, it's for once an interesting rookie class for the Steelers.
Yeah. Kenny Pickens, just the Steelers history, he's going to have some success probably early on. I mean, he moves right into the wide receiver 3 spot kind of.
There's really nobody else there.
And so let me ask you about those receivers, because that's the guy that I'm going to tailgate off another podcast I listened to, Deontay Johnson Take. And it was pretty interesting. They moved Deontay Johnson way down their board. Not because they don't like Deontay Johnson, but because they just didn't see a rookie quarterback be peppering a guy like Deontay Johnson like he's had in the past. That it's just not a sustainable. He's not a sustainable player to think that he's going to come with 100 catches with Kenny Pickett as the wide receiver.
To think that the numbers are just going to stay consistent with a complete change. Yeah, no, that's totally fair. But again, like I said, it's going to depend on how they do that offense. And it's for a rookie, it's going to be who he develops comfort with.
Right.
But it's the odds that production stays consistent aren't real great.
Well, and then
almost have to anticipate a drop off.
Well, and in Pittsburgh right now, it's. I mean, I know they draft Kenny Pickett. I know he's a future, but we don't have any guarantee that Trubisky's not the starting quarterback for the first 8 weeks.
Right? No, that's true. I mean, I don't think they drafted Pickett to let him sit, but I believe them when they say there's going to be a competition, and if Trubisky plays better, he's going to start.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know what that means. I don't know what any of that means for the wide receivers. I don't know that it's better one way or the other if either guy, it's so much flux.
It is. I'll just say this in a nutshell. I don't think any of the Steelers wide receivers got better because of the draft, value-wise. Let's go to the West. This is a division that really didn't add a ton of pieces in the draft. The Broncos really added no one. They did add a tight end by the name of Greg Dulcich, who they're saying good things about. Noah Fant is gone. Again, they already have Albert O there. There's so many weapons in Denver. You can add them if you got a really, really deep roster, but your chances of a rookie tight end being the 6th target on a team is not someone I'm excited about.
Fair.
The Chiefs added Sky Moore, the wide receiver. Probably every draft that I was in, he went too high, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are your thoughts? You got any thoughts on Sky Moore?
It's another one of those, it's path to touches.
Mm-hmm.
It's another guy where you can look at him and say he's got a chance of getting targets early. It's a good quarterback situation. I can see him beating out some of that hodgepodge in the wide receiver room. I mean, you're going to take your swing somewhere. I can see less justifiable swings to take than that one.
The guy I kind of still am interested in because he just seems to be so forgotten is Juju Smith-Schuster is on that team.
Yeah, I was actually going to take a run at him in that 12-man league. Just because I thought, he came into the league at like 20.
He's 25.
Exactly.
Right now. That's it.
Entering his second contract. So he's gone through his 4 full friggin' years, maybe even 5. They picked up the option.
Yep.
Wait, he's a second rounder, wasn't he? I don't think they have an option on him. Any rules. So he's gone through his entire first contract. He's still younger than some of the guys that were taken in that draft.
Yep.
But I think their offense could benefit being a bit more communist.
Yeah, I agree. We need more communist offenses.
That's true.
Yep.
Aaron Rodgers was like fucking Fidel Castro in a helmet there back in the day, spreading that ball around. And, now the last few years, it's been feed the one guy.
Well, that's a fantastic segue because the next team we're going into is the Las Vegas Raiders. And they added one piece that I can see that might be fantasy relevant. They added Zamir White. I think he's a 4th round pick for them at running back. They did not pick up Josh Jacobs' 5th-year option. So, you get near the end of a draft, you could pop a Zamir White onto your thing just to see what happens. Jacob gets hurt. You got a good guy sitting there. And going to the Chargers, you got the same situation. They added their backup running back as well. In Isaiah Spiller, who becomes the backup to Austin Eckler. So, those are those guys, and I think those guys too. Like this time of year, you get yourself excited. You want to draft a running back. You go into the draft, you're like, oh, Zamir White, Isaiah Spiller. I got to take these guys in the future. They're probably not, but to be honest, like these draft capital means a lot at running back, and Isaiah Spiller was drafted to be Austin Eckler's backup, and if they're not happy with him, next year they'll go out and draft someone to be Austin Eckler, and Spiller will stay in the backup spot. It was a really bad year for rookie running backs.
Yeah, not a good year to need running backs in a dynasty. It was yeah.
You're guessing. You're lying to yourself. You're telling yourself you felt good about taking a player, but you really didn't.
No.
Yeah, there's about probably 2 guys that you would be like, oh, that was a really good pick. And outside that, you're like, I hope it works. And I know we're going to go to Buffalo, and I'm going to let you talk about one of those guys that you were high on. I saw you take them in the draft. So why don't you talk about the running back that went to Buffalo?
It's funny. We talked about it in one of the draft episodes, what we look for in a running back. And I think you pointed out it was above 200 with that build. And I had mentioned that I liked a guy that slots in as an all three down guy. And that's neither of those things in Cook. And I still went 50% in my dynasties. I think a lot of it's just that last name. I'm like, I've seen his brother. Like, I'm willing to throw out some of those things that I look for to take a swing on that. And as you said, kind of a thin class, but he has that path to touches. Then he could still bulk up and get above 200. A couple other leagues, I had a shot at taking him. I generally like to take the same guy in all four of my dynasties. If I can help it, I will go all in on somebody, and either that pans out really well, or it's a fun time to make a cut in every single league. But I didn't do that with him. I'm questioning myself. I'm hoping I'm right. I needed a running back.
Well, and if you didn't pick in the top three, you didn't have a chance. And so,
right. Yeah. And by my measure, that was the next guy to have.
Yep. And that's where I'm telling you, that is super telling, because if anyone didn't have him as the third running back off the board, they probably had Dameon Pierce as their third running back off the board. That's how tough this year got at running back.
Yeah. I should, every time we do this, I should pull up my 12 man, because that draft is so squirrely.
Yeah. I mean, this was one of those years where you were really just throwing the dart at who you thought had the best shot at being the next starting running back for a team. I mean, the difference between Isaiah Spiller and Dameon Pierce, who else were some guys that I saw go way too high?
Rashad.
Rashad. So just at the end of the day, really, you hit on it. Like, because Buffalo selected him so high, he's going to play. So you'll know what you got early on.
Yeah. In my 12 man, where I was mega thin at wide receiver, and in fact just picked up Crowder, I took Cook. The wide receiver I wanted went one pick before me. And even though I needed a wide receiver, it was like, there's more value in taking this running back and either having him as trade bait or enough depth to make someone else trade bait. I needed a wide bad, and I still took him.
Yep. Yeah. Because that was it. And he's
because that's what you got to do. That's what
you got to do. Yep. We already touched base on the Dolphins. They've now just an alert. They moved back from the AFC South back into the AFC East.
Yeah. One of those weird things where you're driving, you go through, you cross the county line, and like, a mile later you cross it again back into the same county you were just in before. And
this happened to me on an actual road trip a few weekends ago. I went to Memphis, and I was just driving and talking with my buddy, not really paying attention, and there was an exit for Jacksonville. I was like, oh no. It's like, oh no.
We fucked up.
There's a different one. Okay, I'm fine. The Patriots added a few running backs,
as they do,
which they must,
as required by league policy.
Right. And am I going to talk about them?
No. Because there's a hodgepodge there.
Yes.
There's an established starter. I used air quotes. You can't see him. We've got the returning veteran coming back from injury. We got a rookie going into his second year. Now they're going to add a couple more rookies. Who the fuck is going to get most of the touches week to week? Spin the wheel, throw a fucking dart. Nobody knows.
You want to play a car game?
Oh, I do.
Okay, so what does Mac Jones, Damian Harris, Devontae Parker, and you and me have in common?
That's a lot of handsome dudes.
I know. The answer is actually we don't know who our offensive coordinator for this year will be.
Fair.
They actually do not have an offensive coordinator. I literally can't analyze this team without knowing who's going to call the plays.
Like, is Belichick just gonna that's not his jam.
They literally have not said it, and there's been players coming out saying too that they don't know who it's going to be. So,
oh really? I figured they just have somebody in house, and Belichick's just like, I'm not telling you because I don't have to.
No, it seems to be coming out of the players that they're not really sure what the offense is. So it's pretty interesting.
That's an interesting approach.
Yeah, it's new. Something he's trying.
Let's see how it works for him, Cotton.
Secretly, it makes me feel like Josh McDaniels will quit the Raiders in the preseason.
Come back.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, you know what? Fuck this.
He's like, actually, I just wanted to. We play the Raiders this year, and I just wanted to scout their roster.
Yeah, the inside look.
They added a rookie named Tyquan Thornton, which was a real, I think, the biggest head scratcher of the draft as far as a dynasty player. He was drafted. They moved up in the draft to get this guy. He's super fast. He's 6'3". He's really tiny. He's 6'3", 180.
Holy shit.
Yeah. He's out of Baylor, and they took him in the second round.
Wow.
Yeah. So it like
special teams abilities. He like a return specialist. Like
he can return some, but really it's just a really mystery move by the Patriots, who have a history of not hitting on their wide receivers. So
true that.
Tyquan Thornton has been slipping in every draft I've seen. You can get him on the cheap if you got a roster spot and you're like, why not? I might as well just see what's there. Go for it. You're driving down the road, you see a little hitchhiker. It looks like Tyquan Thornton. Pick him up, put him on there, see what happens. You never know. He might have a good story to tell. But outside of that, I'm really not going after the Patriots.
No.
The last AFC team we got here is the Jets. And they really they added some pieces.
Yeah, that's the wide receivers, the big thing. I just keep, they're in love with him.
Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
And then, it's, one could argue, they had one of the better drafts for offensive weapons. They took Breece Hall and they took Garrett Wilson. For me, obviously Breece Hall's addition moves Michael Carter's value to, I don't know. Where do you,
I believe I'm 75% own share in him, and not feeling real good about that.
Yeah.
Arrow solidly down. Touches reduced big time. He could still have some production, but path to touches severely limited.
Yep. Yep. No, his value plummets to me. And then Garrett Wilson, it pushes. I mean, Denzel Mims is now, to me, he's a dead end player now, unless another team picks him up and gives him a second chance. Yeah, I mean, it's Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall and Zach Wilson are the
Tyler Conklin
and Tyler Conklin. They don't forget they got CJ Uzomah. Who
you think I'd forget?
Yeah. Well, I want you to repicture this now after I went on this long explanation of Cincinnati chili.
I was going to say, because I actually threw up in my mouth after that.
Well, he promised that if the Bengals had won the Super Bowl, he would have taken a bath in Cincinnati chili, which sounds really gross, but now you've got to think he would have smelled like cinnamon and nutmeg, which is not as terrible as what people picture.
No, that actually is an upgrade as far as something to bathe in.
Yeah. Props to CJ Uzomah for having taste in what he smells like when he dumps into a food.
He just likes being naked in spaghetti.
Mm-hmm. He certainly does.
Just really want to fuck Paschetti.
The Cowboys, there's one player that the Cowboys added that I'm interested in, and it's a rookie wide receiver by the name of Jalen Tolbert. Dak Prescott, he lost Amari Cooper. CeeDee Lamb was there last year. Michael Gallup's coming off an injury. I think there's room for another wide receiver to step up, and I think Jalen Tolbert could be that guy.
Yeah, again, path to touches. You're looking at James Washington back there.
Yeah,
but they still got Gallup.
Yep. And that's what I mean to be
but
the three.
That's really what you're battling with, yeah.
And the three produced for them. I mean, keep in mind that
there's enough touches in that role to be a viable player.
Last year's 3 was Michael Gallup.
Right.
So
even if he moves up to 2, I mean, yeah.
Yep. There's room there. So I'm Jalen Tolbert. The New York Giants, they had one guy they added that I don't think I saw anyone touch in any draft, but they added a rookie tight end.
Really?
Yeah. His name's Daniel Bellinger. They got him in the 4th round, but they talked about him being able to compete. But honestly, you know what? I'm going to make a U-turn on that comment. Forget what I say. Don't worry about a rookie tight end for the New York Giants. You don't need to go there. He's not going to be drafted unless you're playing a 16-man, 32 bench league. Don't worry about getting the New York Giants rookie backup tight end.
Not even if you have some weird tight end fetish. Leave it alone.
Yeah. Get into something else.
Yeah, just don't do it.
Lick some shoes. Get over it.
Fuck
the
some
Eagles.
Pescetti.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, just fuck some Pescetti.
Put your dick in a bowl of Cincinnati Special. The Eagles did not add anything via the draft, but they did add something via the trade, and they picked up Mr. A.J. Brown.
There you go.
Give me your take on this. Devontae Smith's value goes up or down because of A.J. Brown?
Stays the same.
Yeah, I think
because even if the pie of the offense expands, theoretically he's got a smaller percentage of a larger pie, which says to me break even. Unless that offensive pie gets real big. Yeah, no real bump, no real hit.
I agree. We'll head to the Washington Commanders.
Washington football team.
Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs when the name football team is better than the name your team picked.
I know it. I like it.
You know whose value I'm concerned about after this draft is Antonio Gibson. This was a guy who was poised to be a star last year, and he was very up and down. Yeah. They were about to lose J.D. McKissick. I want to tell that story, by the way, real quick. You know how close Cook for the Bills was not a Bill? J.D. McKissick was signed had a verbal agreement with the Bills, and like an hour later was re-signed by the Commanders.
Really?
Yeah. So McKissick was a Bill. And then 2 hours later, McKissick was back to being a Commander. I don't think the Bills draft Cook if they sign McKissick.
I don't see the need.
No. So the fact that the Commanders obviously went out of their way, because when they thought they were going to lose McKissick, they upped their price, brought him back, and then they drafted Brian Robinson, which to me makes it look like Commanders are going like 3-headed running back thing, with Brian Robinson being the goal line back and McKissick being the passing down and Gibson being the 1st and 2nd round.
Well, what is this, Gibson's 3rd year of a 4-year contract?
Yeah.
So they're basically saying, hey, we're not fucking paying to re-sign this guy.
Yep. So I think there's no way that Gibson's value goes up after this draft.
No.
The other guy they drafted was Jahan Dotson, rookie wide receiver from Penn State in the 1st round.
All right.
He just has a feel to me of being one of those guys that no one really likes, so he turns out to be one of the better picks in the draft.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where it's just like
McLaren.
Yeah, exactly.
Where everyone's like, no, I'm not taking him.
I'm not taking the guy that goes to the Commanders. I'm not interested. Yeah. So there's no knock on him. I will tell you this: if Jahan Dotson goes to the Kansas City Chiefs instead of Sky Moore,
he goes
a top
in
5
that
pick.
He goes in that slot, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't a Sky Moore slot. That was a Chiefs wide receiver.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, let's go down to the West. The Cardinals. I don't think they added anything except they surprised everyone with.
Yeah.
They added Trey McBride at tight end.
But that's wait and see. Path to touch is limited.
Yep, and it's really weird. I thought they re-signed
running back too, didn't they?
They did. That was late. And then the big thing was during the draft they traded for Marquise Brown.
Right, but they had already know Hopkins was getting suspended when they did that.
They must have. I will tell you this.
They had to know.
Marquise Brown to me is a sell high player after like week 4.
Yeah.
DeAndre's coming back week 7. He's going to look great. People are going to be like, Marquise Brown, he's 5'9", he's 180, he's fast, and he's 24 years old. Okay. They drafted a guy, Andy Isabella, who's 5'9", 188, 25 years old, and he's fast. They already have that guy on the roster. And they have Rondell Moore, who's 5'7", 180, 21 years old, and fast.
Oh, Jesus. They're just going to spread out these tiny guys and go ape shit.
Yeah, Marquise Brown is not a new piece for the Cardinals. He's just another of the same piece.
He's a slight upgrade over the same pieces they got.
Yep, exactly. So, and then you're right on Trey McBride. He's Dynasty, very relevant. Next year, probably not so much. They gave Zach Ertz a 3-year deal in the offseason. So,
yeah.
It's going to take a while for Trey McBride to get up to speed. I thought that the Arizona Cardinals signed a running back post-draft, even though they drafted some guy in the 4th round.
I want to say that too, yeah.
Well,
the dude who was in Kansas City.
Oh, yeah. Williams, yes. Keontae Ingram would be...
Clearly, he's not getting a boatload of touches.
Not if they brought in a 30-year-old Williams to be the number
27. He's still pretty young.
Oh, I'm getting the wrong Williams. All right. The 30-year-old one went to Atlanta.
Right.
I get those guys confused all
because obviously.
Yep. The Rams added a running back. A little bit later in the draft, they added a guy named Kyron Williams, who's really a pass-catching running back. Let me give you a little hot take.
Sizzling hot takes.
Cam Akers came back really quick last year from an Achilles injury. He looked like roadkill to start the season, and then somehow miraculously he tore his Achilles and then played in the same season, which has never been done before.
Wow.
He didn't look great when he came back. Darrell Henderson Jr., still a guy that I would keep on my radar. Just say that.
I'm gonna kick them tires.
Mm-hmm. He would be one of those guys for me that would be riding bitch in the car. He'd be showing up. Oh yeah, I forgot you were back there. Yeah. San Francisco is kind of turning into the Patriots of running backs.
Yeah, they just collect them.
Yeah, they added a 3rd-round running back.
I don't know what it means.
Yeah, Tyrone. I think that's pronounced Tyrone. It's spelled funky. Tyrone Davis Price in the 3rd round. Of course, Trey Sermon, Elijah Mitchell, Jeff Wilson, JaMychal Hasty. Those guys are all there. Debo stayed. We thought he'd leave. Brandon Ayuk. And I can't rate anyone not knowing if it's going to be Trey Lance or Jimmy Garoppolo as the quarterback.
Right.
I will say this. If Trey Lance is a quarterback, it lowers the value of all my wide receivers. Seahawks. They added, obviously, a huge piece in Kenneth Walker.
Right.
Who I would say everyone knew that Hall and Walker were the 1 and 2 running backs. And after that, it was Cook and then your personal preference.
Yes.
Yeah. When the camp battle is between Drew Lock and Geno Smith, I really don't care who they're passing to. I'm just sad for them. Let's head to the north, which I got to tell you, kind of boring. Like the Bears, I think I said this with another team, but I'm going to make a U-turn on it. The stupidest pick in the draft as far as fantasy football goes is the Bears. How about Velus Jones Jr.?
Great name.
Yeah, he's a rookie wide receiver. He's 25 years old.
Oh.
Yeah. And his
Juju's age.
Third round pick, 25 years old. He's also good at returning punts and kicks.
Okay.
But that's about it. A team that really needed some more offense. They lost Allen Robinson and replaced it with a 25-year-old kick return specialist.
Yeah. Yeah, they must really be leaning on what's his name?
Mooney?
No, who's the guy they signed?
Pringle?
Oh, and there was one more.
Or Pettis? Or Tajay Sharp? Or Equanimous St. Brown?
There we go. It was Equanimous, because clearly that's a name that just, blends in with all the other names.
Seriously, it is a basket of poop.
It is it's a cornucopia of shit.
It really is. I mean, like you're Justin Fields, and you're like, you guys, are you serious? Like this is what you got for me,
Justin. You're gonna love this. We got you a veritable cornucopia of shit. This is great.
That's not even a work zone. That's just a closed road. That's like the bridge is out.
Open sewer. It's like, don't drive into the poop. It's all down in that hole.
Where is it? It's everywhere.
It's in the receiver room.
Let's go. Speaking of a bowl of poop, let's go to Detroit. They added I'm sorry, people in Detroit. It's a lovely city. I'm sure parts of it are fine. They added Jameson Williams, wide receiver, in the first round. People would argue that if Jameson Williams was healthy and his ACL wasn't torn, that he would have been the number one wide receiver in the draft. I like the move. Pair him with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Instead of spending your draft capital to go after a quarterback, give Goff one more year, see what you got.
That seems to be what they're doing.
Yeah.
Thought we knew what we had, but hey.
He was hot. I mean, they won almost 3 games last year.
Yeah, well, I think Tim Boyle took one of those. So,
well, that's someone special.
That's what I'm saying. If the drop off from Goff to Tim Boyle isn't that noticeable, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but in all honesty, what did Matt Stafford do when he left Detroit?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, perspective, really. So Jameson Williams is a guy that clearly Detroit's high on, and I wouldn't mind taking the gamble on. The Packers. Everyone. Okay, so I feel like whatever wide receiver went to the Chiefs as their first pick, and whatever wide receiver went to the Packers as their first pick was going to be someone that people wanted on their roster. And so that name for the Packers is Christian Watson.
So in 50% of my dynasties, I went with Cook, even though, like I said, I needed a wide receiver in one of them. In the other 50%, I went with Watson. Mm-hmm. And the only reason I didn't do that more is that he wasn't available to me. Yep. He went one pick before me in my 12-man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's clearly got one of the best passive playing time with one of the most needy wide receiver rooms in the NFL.
And you can't teach 6'5". You
can't. And I'll tell you this, if you miss out on Christian Watson and you really thought there was some more opportunity there, I would not. There's a guy that was drafted in the 4th round by the name of Romeo Doubs, who I think could also turn out to be a somewhat productive wide receiver for the Packers if it shakes out right.
Again, path to touches. There's a chance both those guys can see some snaps.
Yep. So I like both of them. And outside of that, nothing really changed with the Packers value-wise. The Vikings did nothing offensively. Nothing. Right. So same as pre-draft, they looked the exact same.
Kudos. Well done.
Yeah. Atlanta, probably the roster that changed the most this offseason as far as Dynasty goes, right? They added 3 possible starters as rookies. Desmond Ridder, got drafted in the 3rd round. He will complete Marcus Mariota.
Not in my heart.
Yeah, I know you've always been a Mariota. You just love him.
No one will compete with Marcus in my heart.
No, you love those Hawaii quarterbacks.
It's the Lord and then Marcus.
They added Drake London as the first wide receiver off the board. You got to take him. Post draft, by the way, not a lot of moves post draft in the NFL, but Brian Edwards from Oakland also got traded to Atlanta post draft.
Vegas, that's a fine.
Yeah, that is a fine. I don't mind Brian Edwards, a little sneaky play there. He's definitely right away just like really Drake London is the 1 and Brian Edwards is the 2 on that offense.
Right. I was going to ask you, what do you think about Ritter?
What do I think about Ritter? I drafted Ritter in the league.
Okay.
It's almost stupid to say this because it's so rare that any quarterback that wasn't drafted in the 1st round turns out to be a franchise quarterback. It's so rare. I drafted Desmond Ritter because he's got some legs on him, which isn't talked about. But he came out of Cincinnati. He spread the ball around a lot, and you got to beat out a 28-year-old Marcus Mariota for a franchise that has nothing to play for except developing young talent. So, honestly, I would tell you that I think Desmond Ritter takes the field before Pickett in Pittsburgh.
I can see a scenario where he starts the season as the starter. It's a construction zone. We don't know how that's going to turn out. Yep. We don't know how that pie's being divvied up or how big it is.
And I will tell you, I took a gamble on a player in Dynasty drafts, and I went after it's a league that you and I play in. I actually pulled off a trade at a point in the draft. I might live to regret this one, but I felt confident in it. I traded for Tyler Algier.
Did you know?
I did.
I don't know what that means.
Well, Tyler Algier was a 5th round running back, which I would normally not have a lot of interest in. In fact, fantasy history would tell me I'm an idiot. Tyler Algier will be competing with 30-year-old Damian Williams for the starting running back job in Atlanta.
Damn.
You have Cordero Patterson, who's 31. They re-signed him. They did say that they would use him more as a wide receiver this year. But as soon as the draft was over, like 2 days later, they cut Mike Davis. They straight up cut him, which made it pretty obvious that they were feeling confident that Algier would be a guy. And I will tell you, I'll put this on recording because I may be stupid, but I traded away Clyde Edwards-Helaire for 2 second-round picks, one for this year and one for next year, and went to grab Tyler Algier. And my thought process was with Ronald Jones in Kansas City and all those wide receivers that I could almost guarantee that Tyler Algier will score more touchdowns than Clyde Edwards-Helaire this year.
Fair.
That's my take. I'm going with it. And I also just couldn't, I couldn't do the Clyde anymore. Carolina added nothing except competition for Sam Darnold and Matt Corral. Not interested from a dynasty standpoint. The Saints added Chris Olave. I really like Chris Olave. Any opinion on Chris Olave?
I do not.
The comparison from the beat writers in New Orleans, and again, it's preseason. This doesn't mean anything, but you got to at least talk about it. Marvin Harrison is the comparison so far. They brought in Javaris Landry. They drafted Chris Olave, and those two moves tell me that they're not really sure about Michael Thomas.
Yeah, how could you be, though?
Right, and Michael Thomas will turn 30 this year. And then our last team to talk about, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We touched a little bit on Rachaad White, running back. They have Fournette there. signed a 3-year deal, but he's 27. Rashad White's 23, so older for a rookie, but
Keyshawn Vaughn, the only other real competition there.
I'll tell you what, in one of our dynasties, Keyshawn Vaughn got cut as one of the last cuts going into our draft. And I was like, I think I'm gonna Keyshawn Vaughn. He was high on my list. I went on YouTube and tried to, and I might have talked about this. I went on YouTube and tried to find a video of Keyshawn Vaughn's highlights from last year because I knew he had 2 big games. But what I saw in that video was about 4 times that Keyshawn Vaughn dropped a pass and Tom Brady looked pissed off at him. He's played 2 years. He catches 50% of the passes thrown down.
Oh, that's no bueno.
That's not, his receiving total in 2 years is 60 yards.
Wow.
And then the only other thing they really did was they this might not mean anything, but they added a rookie tight end in the name of Cade Otton. In the 4th, it was the first pick of the 4th round, and I would say normally I'm not paying attention to that, except Rob Gronkowski has still not yet said that he is going to play.
True.
So you got a 31-year-old Cameron Brate and Cade Otton as your top 2 as of today. Okay, like that could change overnight. Gronkowski could come back, but if Gronkowski doesn't come back, remember the name Cade Otton. Or don't. I don't care.
You do what the fuck you want. You're an adult.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you.
Listen to me, kind of fucking peckerhead.
Yeah. Well, I think that wraps it up. We gotta pull back in. I mean, I was out longer than I told the wife.
Yeah. My dog must know we're back because he's shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
shut up, Ted.
Well, what did we learn today? We learned that there's some rookies that landed in a spot with a lot of targets, but a lot of road construction on the wide receiver positions, and the Bears have a cornucopia of shit.
A veritable cornucopia of shit.
We've got to end it right there.
That's what we're going to name this episode.
Yeah, please do.
That's us. Yeah. A cornucopia of shit. Let's do it.